How many times have leaders on your team done things that have left you completely dumbfounded? Just speechless. Like, they did what? What? And then you're left with a can of worms. That doesn't need to happen. Leaders can be trained. And most people have no idea how to be leaders. Think about it. We throw people into management positions usually because they're good individual contributors. That means absolutely nothing in terms of being a good leader. So then these people who excel, they're driven, they excel, and they become a leader, and they have no idea how to coach people. They have no idea how to get the best performance out of their team. They have no idea how to hold people accountable. They have no idea how to write people up or terminate people. They're clueless because no one taught them. And you can't know these things. You can't figure these things out by yourself. People are not born with innate knowledge of how to lead teams just because they have a manager or a director or a VP role in front of their title. We're not born with that knowledge. We need to learn. We need to understand, how do I coach an individual through various behavior or attitude problems? How do I actually get the most out of this person? How do I address conflict on my team? How do I support my senior leaders, but also support my team at the same time? These are very complex psychological issues that we're not born with, but we can be taught. And when leaders learn how to do very basic tools to coach people, to counsel people, but when they learn these tools, then everything shifts. The way a leader holds their team, a way a leader holds themselves, defines the results, the productivity that you're going to get from a team. But that's a big deal. That's a lot of responsibility. But leaders can be trained on how to do this, on how to stand firm as the eye of the hurricane, to be able to handle so many different moving parts, but with dignity and with grace. Can you imagine your team if your leaders were able to handle chaos with patience, to be able to handle conflict with maturity? It also transforms the workplace from a reactive workplace to a much more conscious workplace. So much of the time, leaders are reacting to different things that are happening all the time. And when we react, we're usually reacting from negative, habitual thought and behavior patterns. But when leaders learn to actually stop and get conscious about how they're thinking, conscious about how they're acting, conscious about how they're connecting with their team and others, it just transforms everything. And when leaders are not acting with emotional intelligence, then people don't want to stay on their teams, right? They leave. And then you're losing really good talent just because the leader didn't know how to be a leader. And it's not their fault. They just need to be trained. You cannot have a well-running team. You cannot have an organization that thrives and that shines unless their leaders are properly trained. I have worked with so many companies in my career and seen them completely change, transform when their leaders are properly trained. And they love it too. Leaders want to be trained because they know they don't know, right? I mean, sometimes they pretend to know it all, but they know they don't know. So when leaders are actually given the respect to be shown how to be a properly good leader, they love it. They eat it up. And again, it feeds into an enthusiasm that if you're training your leaders together, it just becomes contagious, especially when you keep that going. Training leaders transforms organizations.